right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. It's not every day we get to be a part of such a prestigious program like Harvard and talking to players like yourself and understanding how you got here. So tell us how you got here in the first place, because Harvard's not like the easiest place to get into. So how'd you get here?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for coming out. Amazing having you out in the MAC, and we're all super excited about it.
Perfect.
Yeah, I was junior year, September 1st at the time. Everyone starts getting recruited, and I never really gave anything too much thought. It just kind of came around. You get all the floods of text, but I definitely knew that I wanted to go to a school that really valued academics and put that at the forefront. And I did online high school throughout my 4 years there, but I kept up relatively with academics, and I think I got out on a visit, and I think that's what really sold it for me.
Okay.
I had known a few of the guys who had committed at the class above me, Harry Walker, Steven Sun, Brian Shee. I grew up playing in the Eastern section in upstate New York.
Love it. So
I had that fit of, I know I'm going to fit in with the guys, going to be a good fit culturally. Coaches were really ambitious, and I think it's shown in the success we've had in the last few years, going from where we were 4 or 5 years ago to now. And yeah, I fell in love with campus, the people. I think overall it was just a really good fit for me.
What are you studying right now?
Economics.
I'm shocked because how hard is that here?
Yeah, I mean...
It's challenging, right?
It's challenging.
And finding that balance is never going to be easy.
Yeah. I think what I've learned is that you're very much a product of the environment that you put yourself in.
Love that.
And, I'm surrounded by teammates who are all going through the same thing. When I was a freshman, you have upperclassmen who are really showing you the ropes and have been in your shoes. And if you're around hardworking people, it rubs off. And so to someone who's not in our program, you might think, wow, these guys are, never wasting a second. They're at the tennis courts, taking care of their bodies, going back, doing school, studying. But to me, that's what it takes. That's the standard. And so it's not, you get used to that.
And I think one of the things that we've learned doing these different college tours is understanding that this is basically a full-time job. What you're doing right now is the equivalent of an adult going into a 9-to-5, but you just having more of a social life than an adult that goes to work, then goes home, goes to bed. So for you, how does it feel to be a part of such an academic, strenuous program and being a part of a top 10 program in D1 tennis? It must be stressful at times.
The word that comes to mind for me is it's fun.
Okay. Explain.
I think obviously the tennis is my passion. Everyone loves it. I mean, especially when you're on a team with such a great group of guys, and what we've been able to achieve and work towards has been really fun. I think been fortunate to be on a winning team. I think, regardless of the outcomes, I love my experience, but to be in those positions where you're really fighting for something every year has been something I've really loved. But I think it would be strange if I was giving it all on the tennis court and then going to class and giving a subpar effort. I think, our coaches do a good job of recruiting the kind of people that want to work hard in everything that they do. And we don't should go to the classroom and take days off. We want to succeed in the classroom and come on the court. And if you can get all of the things off the court sorted, you're probably going to be able to play a little bit better on court as well. So I think that's the mentality that we have. And yeah, it's fun. Like I said, everyone's going through it. So you're able to kind of take that with you. No,
that's awesome, because from a group standpoint, you all understand what you need to achieve on and off the court, literally, because it's a demanding program. You need to be present every single moment, and to kind of accept that really puts you through the entire process a little bit better. And you touched on it a little bit with, you went to online school for all 4 years of high school?
Yeah.
So what was that like, going from that environment to now this, where it's in class, on court, and now? Please subscribe. Thanks. Balancing the two.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't easy at the start.
Okay.
You're aware that it's going to be a bit of a transition, but you don't really know until you get here. And I think the first 5-6 weeks, it was less like I believed in myself and that I could succeed in the classroom, but I think it's also figuring out the habits and the way that you're going to learn the best. Okay. And it's very easy to, study with friends and be in groups. And I realized for me that, when I'm doing that, I'm kind of getting it all from everybody else and not actually, internalizing it. Yeah. So I think it's finding out the ways you study best. And like I said, you have teammates that have gone through it. You come here, and it's rare to have, 12, 14 guys who are your family right away. So you really lean on that support system. And I think it was a transition for me, but it was made much easier by the support that I had.
So what's one thing you've learned from your expanded family from your teammates? What's one thing you've taken away from them or from the team that you've learned over the years now here at Harvard?
I think something that really resonated with me early on was the advice that at an early stage, think about the teammate that you want to be. Mm-hmm. And, you can take that a lot of different ways, but I really felt that, it's very easy to come after a long day of classes. We're all super tired, and depending on if it's a midterm season, and you come in and you have a lackluster practice, not great energy. And I learned very early on that affects everybody around me. Mm-hmm. And having the discipline and the consistency and the character to come in on a daily basis, even on your worst days, and still bring that standard, I think is really important. And that applies not just on the tennis court, but the classroom and professional settings, as you enter the working world. I think it's bringing a certain standard and knowing that you're reliable and responsible. I think that's what this program has really helped me to ingrain in myself.
And for you, for Coach Rube, what's one thing you've taken away from him? Because today's video is sponsored by the Universal Tennis Power Subscription Service, which allows you to see every decimal of someone's UTR rating when you're playing them to get a better understanding of where they are in terms of level. The Power Subscription is not just for looking at numbers, it's also for great discounts on amazing companies like Fablegs, like Tennis Warehouse, and many other companies. Now, you can check them out using the link in the description below. Been a part of the program for so long. He's led you guys to incredible things. So what's one thing you take away from him, whether it's as a player or as a person? Yeah,
I could go on and on about Coach Rube and the good things that he's done for us over the last few years. I think the biggest compliment that I can give him is that his best teachings are not on the court, it's off of it. I think his biggest strength is that he's teaching us tennis, but he's also teaching us life and character and personal development. And, I came into this program as a 17-year-old kid who did online high school and played ITFs and only knew tennis. And 5 years later, I'm a 22-year-old who's going to be entering the working world, and I feel like I'm ready for it. And that's the biggest thing that I could say that he's done for me, is given me a life outside of tennis, and it's also helped me succeed on the court as well.
That's amazing. And hearing that and hearing the maturity that you've kind of brought to the team and you've developed over the last couple of years is fascinating to hear. So what's one thing and one thing that we asked in our last interview, a Rubenism, like what's one thing that he says all the time that either like you resonate with, or that he always says something funny, or something that he does? What's one Rubenism, I like to say, that he does?
Rube is very philosophical. He loves his one-liners. He loves his quotes.
Okay.
One that sticks with me, which our teammates might laugh at, but I think it's true, is when is it easy? Never. We have this chart, and it's also a meme maybe, but you have life, and it's a straight line that you might think it is from point A to point B to the top of the mountain, but in reality, there's valleys, there's rivers to cross, there's so many obstacles, and that's what he likes to get at. Okay. It's never going to be as easy as you think it might be, and just being ready for that and being able to accept it and carry on, because there's a lot of things that are out of your control, especially on the tennis court. You're going to have a guy who's having a great day, and there's a lot of other factors, but if you can take care of what you can control and compete at a good level, you give yourself the best chance, and that's all you can ask for.
So what's one thing you've done or you've kind of adapted from that as well as a leader of the team, and not just as a leader as a tennis player, but as a person? Is there something that you've learned from him and yes, you can always say like it's a team effort kind of thing, but for you personally as a leader of a top 10 nationally ranked academic and D1 team, what have you learned as one of the older guys on the team?
I think something that I've really leaned into is just finding your niche and really growing into your personality. Okay. You could ask all of my teammates who knew me, especially early on freshman year. I was very quiet, and especially in the juniors too. I wasn't a guy who was very vocal on court. But as I came into a team environment, things were way different, and I feel like I've really got out of my shell. And I found that I tend to play well when I'm being vocal and trying to spur on the team, but also I have so much fun doing it. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm here to do. Is like obviously we compete and we want to win, but if I'm enjoying myself out there and having fun, then that's probably putting me up in a position to succeed. So just finding a way to find your personality, the way that you operate best, and really leaning into that and being the best teammate you can be.
I love that. And I wanted to ask you, we had a part in our last interview about if you were to build the perfect tennis player from your teammates, how would you build your perfect tennis player?
Okay, so we're starting with serve.
Yep.
Serve, I would take I would take Danny Malofsky's serve.
Okay.
Best second serve in the country.
Okay.
Yes.
So, forehand.
Trying to think. I'll go my forehand.
Your forehand?
I'll go my forehand.
Forehand slice.
Oh, Henry von der Schulenburg. Not even close. Not even close. Henry von der Schulenburg.
He said this. Danny said the same thing. He's like, it's not even close.
Yes.
Like, it was the first name that popped into his head. Okay. Backhand. Regular backhand.
Regular backhand. I love Henry's backhand, but I'm going to go Cooper Williams. That shovel doesn't miss.
That shovel doesn't miss. Slice. Backhand slice.
Mark Katiri.
Okay.
Mark Katiri.
Volleys.
Can you repeat?
Volleys.
Can you repeat players?
You can, but I'd rather you not.
No.
Just to make it a little bit more interesting.
Masa Pereira.
Okay. Overheads.
He's got a very good overhead. Let's go Valdemar.
Okay.
Valdemar Pate, big man.
So, and I didn't ask Danny this either. So, what would you say for speed on the court?
Ooh, this is tough. I'm going to go David Lins.
Okay.
David Lins.
So he would be the fastest on your team?
I can't give him this. I don't know. We haven't measured any of that thing, but what I will say is that he covers the court very well. Whether he's out, I can't give him the title of being fastest. I wouldn't hear that.
So who would be the fastest versus he covers the court well?
Yeah.
Who would be the fastest on your team?
I would love to see a race between David, Mark Katiri, Masa Pereira. Cooper would put himself in there, but it's not true. Just those three. Just those three.
He's like, Cooper's not even close to any of you.
He thinks he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So who was your tennis inspiration? Who was your idol growing up?
Very cookie cutter. I loved Federer. My whole family loved watching tennis. Big Federer fans. The way he carried himself, the way he played the game. As I've gotten older, I've appreciated the competitiveness of guys like Djokovic and Murray and Nadal and the way that they're all absolute champions. And I'm realizing as I'm older how big the mental side of the game is and what they're able to do in pressure moments. So I have so much respect for those guys. But in terms of like first childhood inspiration, it's Federer.
Who's the most underrated tennis player?
ATP Tour, WTA Tour, anything?
Let's go ATP and then WTA.
Oh man. I'm not like I would say Murray, but like he's very appropriately rated because there's a generation of kids who are growing up seeing only Murray post 2017 with a bad hip, and they don't realize how
good he was,
how big of a gladiator he was. So I think that's a fine pick. I'm going to go Murray on the men's side.
You're going to go most underrated Murray.
Murray.
How about the WTA on the women's tour? Because I feel like a lot of them could be underrated.
This is very salient in my head. She retired today, Garbiñe Muguruza. Grand Slam champion, Wimbledon.
I would have gone the opposite. I would have gone overrated for Muguruza.
Really?
Yes, because, and this is just my opinion, so no offense to anyone watching this, but I felt like she did well only at certain points and kind of the same mindset as Murray. That tail end of her career was just so down. Yeah. And then she just disappeared, and now she announced her retirement today as we're recording this. So I think she's going to be a Hall of Famer, but I feel like you could say the same thing for Wozniacki. She's making a return. She won one Grand Slam, but was world number one. But it's kind of something that we've seen. Like, get to world number one, don't win a Grand Slam.
I have a good one.
Go.
Angelique Kerber. I think she's criminally underrated.
Oh, 100%. She almost won the Grand Slam, all four in 1 year. And she's
a beast.
She is a beast. I really like that answer. That's a great answer. So who would you say is overrated on the men's tour?
Oh, this is tough to answer. I am going to say he's proving people wrong lately, but I'm going to say Casper Ruud.
Okay.
3 Slam finals. He's been he was playing for number one. Yeah. Like was a set or two away from being number one in the world. Maybe slightly overrated because of that, but he's playing well right now.
I say Zverev.
Fair.
Okay.
Fair.
We'll agree with that one. Yeah. That's perfect. Yeah. So for you, the last question is for you, and this is your last year, correct? Yeah. What's your goal to finish this year? What's your stamp on this program? Your goal for this year?
Well, we've got a match against Princeton tomorrow, senior day, and we're playing for the share of the Ivy League title. So that's the only thing in my mind right now is we've won 2 Ivy League championships the last 2 years undefeated. This year, a little bit of a tough match against Columbia, but we've been fortunate the one time we lose to them, we've got a chance to go and get a share of it. So we've got it all to play for tomorrow.
Perfect.
And I'd love to have a legacy of 3-time Ivy League champion. That would be great. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it, man.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.